Now, tomorrow, China's new leader will be unveiled in a ceremony at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing. Across the country, millions of villagers who feel that economic reform has simply left them behind will be hoping that the new men at the top will at last bring change. And among them are the residents of Wukan in the southern province of Guangdong. They became the focal point of thousands of local anti-corruption protests across China last year. They succeeded in kicking out local officials and were even allowed to stage free elections. Our international editor, Lindsay Hilsum, travelled to Wukan to see how this experiment in democracy was working and what they're hoping for from the new leaders.
You need strategy to win at Mahjong, but luck helps too. In the village of Wukan, they had a bit of both. The old men while away their time as they do in most Chinese villages. But Wukan has won something different: democracy. Growing up in the village, Hong Rui-ching never thought about politics. Her parents were farmers. Like many of her generation, she went to the city. When she came back to run a hair salon, she found that local Communist Party leaders had taken her parents' land and sold it.
The old village leaders gave nothing to the villagers. They owned Wukan and decided what to do with the village. They weren't elected. The old village chief was the chief for more than 40 years, even from before I was born.
Last year, she joined other villagers in protest. The leaders had stolen 2/3 of the village land and sold it to developers. Embarrassed by world attention, instead of crushing the demonstrations, the Guangdong Provincial Party leadership agreed Wukan could choose new village leaders. The protests here in Wukan made a difference. The people got to elect their own leadership freely for the first time, and they chose protest leaders. But now they're coming up against the limits of local democracy. They can't get their land back. They're still looking to the top leadership of the Chinese Communist Party, meeting in Beijing this week. At the 18th Party Congress, Guangdong Party chief Wang Yang, seen as a reformer, acknowledged the farmers' anger. But corruption is so widespread amongst officials that the new national leadership, to be unveiled tomorrow, will struggle to curb it within the one-party system. Outside the local government office in Wukan, we came across a group of journalism students studying the Wukan model. They, like everyone else, are learning that this democracy thing isn't so easy. The villagers who haven't got their land back are getting frustrated with the committee they elected, and the committee's getting frustrated with the villagers.
There's a contradiction between one-party rule and real democracy. Considering the situation of China at this stage, where people are not very well educated or even illiterate, and many are unaware of laws, real democracy may not be such a good thing. A certain degree of dictatorship, as long as the dictators care about the people, may not be so bad.
The over-80s, registering to get £3 a month from the state, grumble that free elections haven't been much of an improvement on the rigged polls, which kept the corrupt old guard in for so many years.
Our lives still aren't very good after the election. The government hasn't returned our land yet. People are restless. They want to protest to the new village committee.
The old guys playing mahjong across the square say that in China, change comes from the top down.
We rely on the central government. Without the central government's help, the village committee cannot solve the land problem.
Beyond the village, the high-rises keep growing. Land prices have almost tripled in the last 15 years. A luxury housing complex in Wukan lies empty. But the developers aren't about to give the land back simply because corrupt officials creamed off profits when they sold it. In Wukan, some people still make a living from fishing, the simple old way. Economic reform improved their lives, but corrupted local officials. Wukan may be an island of democracy, but wider political reform is beyond their horizon. They're looking to the new leadership in Beijing, as are all the other villagers with similar struggles across China. Lindsay Hilsum, Channel 4 News, Wukan.